Well, hi guys, it's that time. It's our Bible teaching snippet of the day. Well, today I want to continue in my teaching that I'm doing about Jesus was a vegetarian. Yesterday I talked about that Jesus did not eat any meat at the Last Supper, the Passover meal. This is recorded in Matthew 26, Mark 14, Luke 22, John chapter 13, as well as Paul talks about it in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23. None of these 5 accounts say anything about Jesus eating any meat. Okay. Now I also told you, which I think is really a interesting little side note, was the Da Vinci painting. You know, Leonardo da Vinci was a vegetarian, and he believed that Jesus was a vegetarian, and therefore his painting, that is in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of homes in the United States, it's in churches all over the world, his painting is known, right? And I remember over my mother and daddy's dining room table, there's a picture of the Last Supper, and Jesus sitting right in the middle of that long table, and there's no meat whatsoever on that table. And here's why. I'm going to read you some scriptures as why so many people believe that Jesus was a vegetarian and that he didn't eat any meat, okay? There's a couple of 3 scriptures I want to show you. Let me find this one. I'll go to Isaiah 7, 14, and 15, and this is the prophecy about Jesus being born. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Next sentence, in context. Butter and honey shall he eat, so that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. That right there basically says that Jesus is going to eat butter, which is a byproduct of a goat or a calf or a cow, right? And honey. But you notice he's not going to eat meat. And I know people will say, oh, well, that's a stretch. Well, it's really not if you've read the Apocrypha writings, the books that are outside the Bible, because it just talks over and over and over again that it is evil to eat the flesh of animals. It's evil to eat flesh with blood, to eat the blood of animals, and all of this. So, and it just goes over and over again through the Apocrypha about that. And if you're not familiar with that, that probably wouldn't catch your attention. And I understand that. But here, let me give you some more scriptures, though. Here's Isaiah 66:3. He that killeth an ox is as if he slew a man. Do you remember the quote I told you that Leonardo da Vinci said? He said that he felt there would come a day when it would be looked upon as being as wrong, okay, as much of a crime and as wrong as for a man to kill an animal as it is for a man to kill another man. Okay, and this is why right here. He that killeth an ox is as if he slew a man. Okay, now let's read Proverbs 12:10. Okay, a righteous man has regard for the life of his animal, but the compassion of the wicked is cruel. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you've ever watched any videos where they slaughter animals in these factory farming, where they slaughter pigs and cows and chickens, that verse right there will come to mind. The compassion of the wicked is cruel. They are absolutely cruel to animals prior to killing them. From the day they're born until the day that that animal dies, the people that run those operations are cruel and wicked. And I hear people tell me all the time, well, I can't watch videos like that. Well, you know, maybe you should not sit down and eat the product that they're helping you buy and sit down and eat until you do watch that. And then you'll have a higher appreciation for the food that is on your plate. I think sometimes we don't realize what we are agreeing to when we eat meat. I didn't, guys, okay? I'm not judging anybody. I'm saying I'm awake now. We go and buy animal meat products and even milk, cheese, and eggs now, and the animals are treated so cruelly, but we're paying good money to keep those guys in business so they can keep hurting all of these innocent animals. Okay, so let me see where I want to go from here. Yesterday I told you about the different sects that did not eat meat. They believed that the scribes, different men, changed, and it's called the lying pen of the scribes is how that goes. The lying, like telling a lie, ink pen of the scribes, that they changed the scrolls and scriptures. So these Nazarenes, the Ebionites, and the Essenes did not eat meat. They did not practice sacrificing animals. They did not kill and eat lambs at their Passover celebrations when they had those annual Passover celebrations. This is why none of the Gospels reference Jesus eating lamb with the Last Supper with his disciples. Okay. Josephus, the Jewish historian, records all of these sects were vegetarians. Eusebius, he's an early church historian, he records these groups were vegetarians. And there are also writings outside of Christianity that attest to these groups being vegetarians. They are Israelites, they are fully blooded Jews, they are Abraham's bloodline, but they were vegetarians, okay? Now, the Dead Sea Scrolls, when they were found, we're told that that didn't really change anything. It just really showed that our scriptures were accurate. What if I told you that the Essenes are the ones that kept the Dead Sea Scrolls, and there was many writings that proved that the Essenes were vegetarians, that they did not kill animals, and their writings didn't have anything in them about sacrificing and killing animals. So the next thing I want to remind you, Matthew 2:23, that Jesus was a Nazarene. It says, and to fulfill prophecy, Jesus would be known and called a Nazarene. And all the Nazarenes were vegetarians. So where I want to go from here, I guess, is I want to talk to you about that one place, one scripture in all of our New Testament that claims that Jesus might have, sort of implies that Jesus ate fish. But what it doesn't say is that he actually did eat the fish. And I'm going to just read this to you. This is Luke chapter 24, and it starts in verse 40 and goes through about 43 or 44. But I'm just going to read verse 42 and 43. And that they didn't recognize Jesus and who he was. And so they gave Jesus part of a broiled fish and of a honeycomb. And having taken, he did eat before them. That's the Young's literal. Some translations say he ate in front of their eyes. And this was to prove to them that he was not a spirit, but a human flesh and blood. Now, if you notice, they gave him part of a broiled fish and of honeycomb. And Jesus just took a bite or two of whatever, and that's all he ate. He didn't eat a full meal, is what I'm trying to tell you. Now, here's the bigger issue with this account, okay? Well, there's two or three issues, okay? Let's start with, in the Syriac Gospel of Luke, it doesn't record this event. The oldest known manuscripts of the Gospel of Luke, the old Syriac Aramaic manuscript of the Gospel of Luke, doesn't have that. But number two, let me show you what it does have. Luke 21:34. This is what it says. Jesus is talking. Be on guard so that your hearts do not become heavy with the eating of flesh and with the intoxication of wine and with the anxiety of the world. If you go over to your version of Luke 21:34, that phrase, so your hearts do not become heavy, that's all it says, and this part's pulled out, with the eating of flesh. That phrase is completely removed from our Gospel of Luke. Okay, so there's two problems we've got right there. Here's our third problem with this account in Luke. This conflicts with the accounts of Mark and Matthew. Mark and Matthew both record over and over again that Jesus said he was going to meet them in Galilee. The angel tells them about Galilee, or Jesus one, at the tomb where he's resurrected. Okay, I haven't written this out in my notes, so let me just go to my notes for time here. Matthew and Mark, they claim Jesus first appeared to them in a room in Galilee according to what Jesus told them that he would do. Okay, we got that in Matthew 14:28, Matthew 26:32. The message the angel sent, Mark 16:7. So yeah, I did make a note of that. That's our third evidence that he's going to meet them in Galilee. Okay, Matthew 28:7 and Matthew 28:10. And then in Matthew 28:16. So all of those we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different accounts where Jesus is going to go to Galilee, right? Luke claims that Jesus met the men, the disciples, in Jerusalem. That's a problem, guys, because his one account completely is opposed to 6 other scriptures. So I think that it's fair to say, I'm not sure that Luke's account, since it's not in all of the different, Luke's account of chapter 24, verses 40 through 43, that fish account, where Jesus supposedly ate fish. Guys, that's not in all of the Gospels of Luke. It doesn't line up with 6 other scriptures, so there's a problem with that. Now, the other thing that I want to, maybe I'll talk about, I think I might just bring this up. I told you I've got like 16 different books that I've been studying about this, and I want to read this part to you today. Most importantly, there are no reference to fish in the earliest New Testament manuscripts. The miracle of the fish, the bread and the fish, the miracle is described as bread and fruit, not loaves and fishes. It was the later Bible manuscripts after the 4th century that fish was listed instead of fruit. The Codex Sinaiticus is the earliest edition of the New Testament to mention fish as a part of the miracle. Now, this Codex Sinaiticus is from the 4th century, okay? That was between 330 and 360. This same date fits nicely in that time frame of when Constantine pulled Christianity into his other 4 or 5 pagan religions and brought Christianity into his government-approved religion, okay? Up until that time, all Christians were vegetarian. It was after that, because they were killed. If they would not eat meat, they were killed. And so all of this is out here, guys, in history. It's all there. All you got to do is know to look for it. We just don't know to look, right? So, but I got online and I researched all of this, and everything that this man right here has written about that is 100% accurate, because I don't repeat anything that I read without going through and checking it out first. Here is, as far as the fish, I do want to say one more thing about this, and I might just do another piece of this, but it says here in this same book, okay, meat-eating Christians challenge, if the Bible encourages vegetarianism, then what about the incident of the loaves and fishes? And then he talks about this, but watch. This is really good. Some biblical exegesis, taking Jesus' compassionate nature into account, suggests that the fish were little rolls of a kind still eaten today, from a submarine plant known as the fish plant, which grows in the east. These sawfish plants are dried in the sun, ground into flour in a mortar, and baked into rolls. Fish plant rolls were an integral part of the ancient Babylonian diet. Many Japanese consider them a great delight. So I just wanted to throw that in as well. And there's some more things I want to share with you about this, but I'm going to go ahead and sign off today and tell you that I love you, and we'll just pick up on this on my next teaching snippet. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.